Hello there and welcome to All About the Bass. Thank you for joining me. I'm Nathan, your congenial host, and today we are looking at, from DSM and Humboldt, the Simplifier Bass Station. Look at this little beauty, and I will have to put on my granddad glasses because it's very small. This is an interesting thing. I had a look at it prior to this on the website, and it looks much bigger. I don't know why, it's just an optical illusion, but I was expecting it to be like sort of this big, and it's not. It's really tiny. If I had something on me that was tiny in comparison, I'd show you, but I don't. Everything I've got's enormous. So what's it all about? Well, basically it's a preamp, a bass preamp, and sort of DI. So two primary uses are for live. You can just go straight into the desk, providing you've got sort of good monitoring, so you don't need an amp. And for recording, the same thing. You just go straight into your workstation or whatever you're recording on, and it gives you some really great bass tones straight out of the box, instead of that just kind of boring DI bass sound. You get to play around with it in here. And I'm always very interested to see what these things sound like. We've looked at a few. Obviously, you know, this goes right back to the Sans amp boxes, which are really good. I think they were the first guys probably to do it. More recently, Dark Glass do a range of different bass preamp DI boxes. And now this one from DSM, the Simplifier, okay. And it's got lots and lots of features on it. I guess if we just start at the beginning, you plug your bass in here, and depending on what the output of your bass is, we've got a passive stroke active input pad switch down here, a tiny switch, which just reduces the gain. If your bass is too hot, you can do that. If you've got an active bass, for instance, and it's really hot, you can put it on the active setting. If not, put it on the passive setting, gives you more input gain. And then you've got the gain itself. And then it goes through an EQ section here. You've got 3-band, what they call semi-parametric EQ. What does that mean? Well, semi-parametric means that the mid-range, you can select the frequency that you want to boost or cut. It says plus 15, minus 15, I presume that's dB. So you can choose 900 Hertz, 400 Hertz, or 1.5 kilohertz. Coming to you live on 1.5 kilohertz. So there, you've got basically 3 different mid-frequencies that you can select to cut or boost. Fully parametric, would have another knob that would infinitely give you any frequency you wanted. So semi-parametric, there you go. And then we've got a master vol on that stage there. And then we've got 2 different outputs on here. Now we've got both plugged in, but actually we're only coming out, you're only hearing one. You're hearing the DI out, which is the affected signal. That's this one. You've got a parallel output 2, which is just a clean bass signal. Whatever you do on here, that doesn't change. It's just the same, comes out. And that allows you to change it later. For instance, if you're working on a track, you could record both of these simultaneously. And then later on, if you didn't like the sound that you got sort of going through the processing, you've still got your clean signal that you can go back and reamp. You can go and process that separately, which is very handy in recording. 9 volt power supply input there, 100 milliamp, pretty standard. So this control here is a balance between these 2 outputs, parallel and preamp. So how is the EQ sound? Well, let's have a little listen, shall we? Let me play you through some tones. I'm playing here this rather beautiful limited edition made in Japan 60s jazz bass, which you might also want to put in your shopping basket at the end of this. Very nice bass it is too, sounds lovely. I've got both pickups on here. Let's have a little listen to the EQ. Oh, by the way, I'm not going through any amplifiers. This is just here because it's here. It's not even on. You're literally hearing just the sound of this box. Bass into this box, straight into our computer. That's it. That's all you're hearing. So EQ, what does it do? Bass, well, that's pretty obvious. Cut and boost, treble, mid, so we've got a nice scoop sound here. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to give you just the flat sound. I'm going to take all the cab sims out. This is just this part of the box. Then if you want a more midi sound, let's lose some of that treble and bass, boost the mid. Should be able to hear when I switch. Oh no, that doesn't work, does it? Of course, we have to have the preamp in, otherwise you're not going to hear any of the preamp, you fool! I know what I'm doing. Again, so give you all your bass in your top, lose the middle. Obviously, because it's such a small kind of footprint on this, you have got to be a little bit careful with twiddling, because my great big clumsy fingers, every time I sort of do this one, I just nudge that one. So you've got to be a bit precise with your finger placings. Do some EQing that isn't quite as extreme. Okay, that's your EQ. That's pretty standard fare for what EQ should do. And then we go over to the cabinet simulator side of things. Like I say, you've got this thing that goes between the preamp and just the parallel, your dry signal. That's just our dry bass signal, and then we bring the cabinet simulation part into it. And we've got some different cabinets to emulate over here too. This is an analog cabinet emulator. It's not digital presets, it's actually, they've devised a way of doing this in the analog fashion. Infinitely tweakable. And they give you a 4x10 cab, an 8x10 cab, and a 15. So if I go between the 15 and the 4x10, you should be able to hear 15's a duller, more bottom end. More of a vintage sound. Your 4x10, more bright. And they also give you a mic placement control here. So central being like they've mic'd it up in the centre of the speaker, which is a lot brighter, sort of pointing straight at the cab. We can do off axis, which is not pointing straight at the speaker, which is a lot less bright. course, depending on what kind of tune you're working on, you know, you're going to want different sounds. So this gives you that, and it gives you everything in between. So if I wind it round, you should be able to hear. And we can get that somewhere in the middle, which is a blend of the two things. Okay, those different cabs again, 4x10, 8x10, sealed. Not a massive difference between those two at the moment, but the 15 and also we've got a speaker colour three-way switch here. So warm, modern, which as you expect is going to be brighter, and then bright, which is really bright. Now we've also got this resonance control here, and this is essentially controls the cutoff point for the low frequencies. So even though when I had it set to bright, it kind of takes the bottom end out of it. If I dial this resonance in, we get that bottom end back. So if we go to the warm, 1x15, full resonance, you're going to get a very warm. A very warm sound, and we make it off axis, make it even warmer. Conversely, if we go the other way, it's 4x10 cab, modern, centre axis, no resonance, it should be a lot brighter and tighter. Which it is, thankfully. So there you go. That's all the different sounds that we've got on the box. What other features do we have? There is a phase switch for the parallel output, which goes, you can switch the phase basically. If you're having phase problems between the DI out and the parallel out, you can invert the phase on one of these to avert those problems of cancelling. We have on the front here, the front as I look at it, my front, top, front, bottom. See? Top, front, bottom. Remember that. Very important in life. We've got a headphone socket here for obvious reasons, because it makes a self-contained practice amp. That's brilliant. We've got an aux in. These are both on mini jacks. Aux in, obviously, you get your MP3 player or whatever audio source goes in there. And then you can play along with whatever you want to play along with your headphones or just through the regular output, that's fine. You've got a headphone level knob there, obviously, for the level of your headphones, and we've got two effects outputs. On the front, centre return, two of those, parallel effects, preamp effects, a dual effects loop, and last but not least, we've got cab. What's this here now? Off parallel low pass filter. Right, does that affect what we're doing? Let's have a look. Let's find out, shall we? No, it doesn't, because that is for the parallel output that we're not hearing. So that's kind of worked out well. Good. So that's all right. It's not relevant to what we're listening to at the moment. Oh yeah, and a cab sim blend. You can blend in the amount of cab simulation you want. So if we stick this in the middle between parallel out and preamp out, and then stick the cab sim in the middle, we should get somewhere in the middle. We've got a bit of dry signal, we've got a bit of cab sim. Which might, this is great, it might be exactly the sound you're after. Right, there you go then. Well, I think that's it. There's an out-through output here. Oh, okay, right, now this, I guess, is for if you're going to have it on stage, you can come out here, and it's just a clean signal that goes into your amp. So you've still got on-stage monitoring, if that's how you want to use it. Okay, they've thought of everything, these guys. Very, very clever, yes. Very clever indeed. Well, I have to say, I like it. I think it's a great box. I can't believe how small it is. It's very diddy, but that's perfect because, you know, for a gig, you just stick it in the front of your gig bag and off you go. You know, these days, I was going to say these days with gigs, well, there aren't any gigs, are there, at the moment? But that will change, of course. A lot of the times these days, if you're doing gigs in town, you just want to jump on the train. Some of these gigs have such small stages, there isn't even room for an amp. And they say, oh, don't bring an amp. So you just bring your bass, you bring this, straight to the PA. Hopefully you got some decent monitors, and you're away. There you go. You've got a nice bass tone straight out the box there. And likewise for recording, loads of different tones, just to get straight in at the front of your workstation and make your bass sound good. So, well done DSM and Humboldt for your Simplifier Bass Station. How much is it going to cost you? These are flying out at the moment. I know the boys, I know Pete and Lee, they do a guitar version of this that the boys did a video on, and I think that sold over 100 in a week or something. They're just absolutely flying out, and I think these will too, because they're just such a useful box. This is going to cost you £299. You know, so it's a similar price point to the dark glass units, and you know, probably the Sans amp, the upper range of the Sans amp ones too. So yeah, very competitive price wise, and I think you get a lot. You get a lot in the box. So yeah, check it out. I've been Nathan. This has been all about the bass. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been informative. Stay well out there. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time. All right. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye now.
Thank you.